Hello friends, it's Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. In this tutorial, we are going to make this adorable little baby bunting. A baby with a bunting bag or a cocoon. I think it is so cute. We are using our 22 needle machine for this project, and I will put all the yarn particulars down in the description box below, so please have a look there. This doll measures from toe to the top of the head, not including the beanie length, but it's 6 inches, and the cocoon from the top to the bottom is 9 inches. So it is such a cute size. I hope that you enjoy this tutorial. Please be sure and show me in my Facebook group and, change up the colors of the doll and of the cocoon set and just have fun with it. And be sure and show us in my group when you are done. Also, friends, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so to start this wee baby, we are going to take our feet color. So the bottom of the doll, I'm going to use gray. We're going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn feeder. And we are going to do the drawstring cast on. So pop that tail into the center, go in front of that first black, behind the next, in front and behind, all the way around. Just let that loosely slip through your fingers. Don't make it tight, or the next row will be a little bit difficult. Before I get to the end, I'm going to set my row counter to 0. And it's behind that last white. Into the yarn feeder it goes. Now, we always hear that there are problems with the first row of knitting on the 22. And it sometimes will split in between these two little red teeth. And the way to prevent that is to go slow. All right? It's to go loosely on your tension, the first row, but then to go really slow on the second row. Or this is actually the first row. That cast on row didn't count. But see how slowly I'm going? You only have to do it for the first row. And then it gives it time to slip down over those red teeth and it doesn't split the stitch. Then I always pull that little piece down. And from here, we will knit 5 rows. And one more is 5. I have a black permanent marker that I use to mark the red divider between the last white and the first black, and then I know when I line it up with my yarn feeder that it's in the right place. I'm going to cut that yarn tail, pop it in between the last white and the first black. We're going to set that color aside, and we're going to take our second color, which will be the legs and the body, and I'm using pink here, into the yarn feeder. In between the last white and the first black. We don't need to do a jogless join here because of the way that we're going to sew these pieces up. You won't see it. So we're going to knit 3 or 4 needles. Then I'm going to help that loop down under the dividers, take both ends of that working yarn and pull them away from each other, just to snug up the tension there a little bit. And then we can tie a knot. Cut this a little shorter. And we're going to knit 15 rows. That will take us to row 20 on our counter. Oops, I don't want that there. And one more. We're going to stop with that black divider in front of our yarn feeder. I'm going to cut that pink, pop it in between the last white and the first black, and we're going to take our head color. You can make this whatever color you want. I'm going to use white for this one, but we can use like a tan color or a dark brown color. Make them diverse and it'll be absolutely beautiful. And we're going to knit 4 or 5 needles. Push that down, tighten my tension, tie off a knot. And we are going to knit 15 rows for the head. That will take us to row 35. See you when you get there. 15 rows, taking you to row 35 on your counter. All right, so once we have that done, we're going to cut off a tail that's long enough to go around our barrel 1.5 to 2 times. And I should have really stopped chewing my cookie before I came back on camera. Oh, I made ginger snap cookies and they're so good. Can't stop eating them. Open your latch. Make sure that stays between that last white and the first black because we still have to finish knitting off those 2 needles. We're going to pop this on our needle, and we're going to do the drawstring cast off. And every time you turn your handle and the needle goes down, that loop is ready to take off. So we're going to go ahead and remove our piece. Just like this. Don't lift up, because if you've got a few of your needles that are loops that are ready to come off and you lift up, when I take this one off, if I lift too far up, I'm going to drop, this one's going to pop right off of those red teeth. So be very careful that you use the right tension and that you do it in such a way that that loop doesn't fall off your red teeth. If you're new and you don't know your tension, put your finger over the next one. And that helps too. All right, there we go. There's our little piece. Go ahead and make one more. You need 2 for this project, so make another one exactly like this. We have our 2 pieces off the machine, and we are going to make sure that we stretch them both widthwise and lengthwise. And we're going to begin, first of all, make sure that you've tied all your joins, your color change joints. If you haven't, go back and to the inside of your work and tie them off or double check. Well, we're going to take the end and we're going to pull on that gray strand, making sure that you smooth this out as you go, because it makes a much nicer finish. I'm going to pop this tail on to my needle. I always use metal wool needles with the little loop at the back. You always see me using them, or the needles that have a little bent crook in them. I was going through my needles and I found this one, which I never use. It's got a blunt end, and I'm really enjoying it. So maybe that's what you use. I don't know, but I like it as well. It works really great for doing the mattress stitch. It would be great for the Kitchener stitch too, because of the blunt end, any kind of sewing up. So there we go. I just went around the first row of stitches. You just saw what I did. Sorry, I was talking and I never explained. I just automatically did it. I just went underneath that first row of stitches and picked them up just to reinforce. And then I'm going to go into that last stitch there and pick up the one on the other side just to join this into a bit of a circle, just like that. And I'm going to make an actual knot. So I'm going to go in there again and I'm going to knot it off. Push that knot down with my thumb, just like that, but be careful, don't snap this because it easily can be snapped. Here's where our color change is. So make sure that it's on the inside. If it's over here, then just flip this like this so that your color changes there. That's an attention to detail that you don't want to miss out on, because you want your row to be beautiful on that side, okay, on the right side. So here's where my color join was. That's why I said you don't have to do a jogless join. You just can, well, I don't know if I actually mentioned that. Usually I do a jogless join when I change colors, but I knew that I would be able to hide it here, so it wasn't necessary for us to do that extra step. Okay, so now that we have this done at the base, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. I look for the row where the wide part of the V of the stitch is going to the left. If it normally, which this one was going to, this is the normal, it just wants to go on this row where the point of the V is, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a twist, half a row twist, because I like to do my mattress stitches with the wide part of the V going to the left on both rows, and I always make it match up that way. I just think that it gives a nicer effect, and it's easier to get into the stitch too. So I'm going to go into that base one there and I'm going to pick up 1, 2 bars, so 2 stitches. I'm going to go into it on this side, do the best that you can, and I'm going to pick up 2 bars. If you can only get 1 because of where your knot is, that's fine too. You just want to make sure that when you get up a little ways, like see, I've come out of this one and I'm out of this one, I have 2 gray stitches left. You just want to make sure that you are equal on both sides. So now I'm going to go into this stitch where I came out of, and I'm going to pick up 2 bars. So 1, 2. I'm going to go across, and I'm not pulling tight. This is a small piece. I can get quite a bit done before I have to pull it. I'm going to go in where I came out, right here, pick up 1, 2. If you take a small section, you smooth it out, you can see those are straight. it's easy to see your stitches and the row that you're on because you've straightened out a small section. And then you also know that you're on the same row when you go into the same stitch that you came out of before, and then you pick up 2. I'm going into the same stitch that I came out of before, and I'm going to pick up 2. Now, what I forgot to do is count, but I know that I have 5 stitches of gray. I've just gone in through 2 of pink, so that's 7. All right. And I'm going to go pick up 2 more. That's 9. And 2 more is 9. And I'm going to just pick up 1 more. That's 10. There we go. And 10. So 5 of the gray and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the pink. We've picked up 10 stitches. Then I'm going to pinch the end here, and I'm going to pull this one. If you pull much tighter than what I just did, this will start to gather in here, and you don't want that. And look how beautiful that looks. It doesn't even look like you even joined it. It looks like it was always joined. So we picked up 10 stitches. I'm going to go across, and I'm just going to join those 2 together just to give it a little bit more security. I'm going to drop this. I'm going to grab the other one, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Now we have them exactly sewn the way they need to be. I'm going to flip it on its side. So these openings are going to face each other like this, and then we're going to sew up the sides here. So to do that, I'm going to now go into this next stitch here, following that same row that I was on. I've got my knot here, so I'm going to, usually we'll go into the same stitch that you came out of, but because we've knotted it here, just go up into this next one, and you're going to pick up 2 bars. Get this other tail out of the way. We'll use that for the other side. And then on this side, you're going to do the same thing. So here's how it is. We just sewed up this section here. Now we're following that same row, but we're sewing the 2 pieces together instead of sticking with the same piece. So again, we sew it up here. We sew it up here. Now I just took one of my strands, left the other one behind because we'll use that for the other side. And you face them to each other, and we're going to continue mattress stitching up to the top, staying on that same row. So all that takes is to just smooth out a section of about 10 stitches or so. Here's where I came out. So I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to pick up 2. Here's where I came out. So I'm going to go back in there, and I'm going to pick up 2. And don't get tangled around the little legs. And then stop and straighten whenever you need to. And in where I came out, pick up 2. In where I came out, pick up 2. That little leg keeps wanting to get in the way. And pick up 2. And pick up 2. I'm going to pull that. Just like that. Now it's all lined up. We're going to continue smoothing this out. I'm starting in the last pink on this side and picking up 2. In the last pink on this side, I'm picking up 2. And now I'm in the game and nice and even. And we're going to continue all the way up. I'll show you another trick in just a second if it gets a little hard for you, especially on white. It can be a little bit tricky to see. Now that you know that you're in the row and you get to the top, it's hard to figure out where to stop. Smooth it out like that, and you can see your row is right here. So here's where I came out. I'm just going to pick up 2. Maybe that'll give you a visual of what we're doing better. And then if I flatten that, I came out here, so I'm going in, and I'm just following that same row up and picking up 2 bars. Smoothing that out. Here's where I came in, picking up 2. Picking up 2. And picking up 2. And I should be able to get 2 more on this side, so I'm exactly the same on both sides. I'm going to pinch where I left off down here and pull. And there you go. Now we're going to turn this around. We're going to pop this gray one onto our needle. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sew these two backs together down here. Pull. See, it's kind of cool because we're using gray on white, and because we're doing the mattress stitch, you can't see it. It's hidden, so we're all good. All right, now what I want you to do is just cut off these gray tails so they're not quite so hard to manage. We're going to get rid of those, and we're going to just take them inside. I guess I didn't have to cut it off quite yet until I got it on the inside, but I'm going to take it to the inside of my work. And I'm going to just pick up a stitch or a bar or two, and I'm going to knot it off. Once and then twice. Tuck that into the center. Do that to the other side with this one, and then I'll meet you back. Taking a strand of white that goes around our piece, 1.5, 2 times, or longer because that's a small piece. We are going to go into the first leg of the pink stitch on the first row. Okay, then we're gonna just meet down there and pick up the first leg of the next row, a stitch, and then the first leg, and the first leg, and the first leg. Pull through. This is our drawstring to separate the body from the head. Now here is our stitch that I'm talking about. I'm just picking up the first leg. All the way around. Very easy to see because it's your color change. There we go. Don't cut those too short. I will cut them a little bit shorter so they're manageable. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to stuff our piece now. So grab yourself some fiberfill. I don't want this little dolly stuffed too thick. It's just going to be a light stuffing. Many of my stuffed animals I'll stuff more so than I will this one. But I just want it to be a nice, soft, comfy, cozy baby. And so we're not going to overfill it at all. Do less than what you normally would think to do. See, it's stuffed, but it's just nice and squishy for their little hands to hold, and it's not hard in any way because the stuffing has been overdone and made it firm. And I'm going to just pop that in there. We're going to do the same thing. Just slightly stuff this baby. Maybe give it a little bit of a tummy, but nothing much. And then stuff the head. Make sure you get both halves completely out. Stuff the head. Got a bit of a... There we go. Then if we take one of these, here, this will form a circle, right? Because this is our one tube. So when you pull on the one strand, it's going to pull that circle together like it did this end here. See how that is? It's like, now that end is closed, but we're going to join the two together. So now I'm going to do this one. Make sure that you smooth it out too, but that's the end of that tube. I'm going to put this on my needle and I'm going to just make a knot here to tighten it. I'm not going to reinforce around there yet because we're going to be doing that next. But I just want to secure it with just one little knot on both sides. We still need to figure out whether or not we need to stuff the head a little bit more, but we're preparing this now so that we can determine that better. I'm going to do one little knot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our drawstring that we put in here and we're going to tighten it. Don't over tighten this, friends. You don't want this. You want this. You want the shape, but you want it relaxed. Best to look at it from the other side. You want the shape, but you want it relaxed. And I'm going to then tie a knot. And there we go. That's how I want it. We're going to take this top part here, but I'm going to leave these. I'm going to tie one more knot. Leave these hanging because you can always go around and tighten it again if you feel you need to after you get the head tightened. I don't know why I have that little wonky stitch in there. So I might make that the back once I get this all sewn up, but we'll see. I don't know what happened there. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these strands and I'm going to join these two. So now I'm going to go around the top half of this circle here, just around that first set of stitches. And then I'm going to go over to this other half and I'm going to pick up that first row of stitches just like this. And we're going to join those two outer halves of that piece. Let's get this yarn tail out of the way. Around. And then I'm going to go back. And then when we pull, we have now joined the two pieces and made them into one. You can take this and tie it off. I do 3 knots. And then you're going to hide your tails. Pop them in through the center. You can see that gray strand just a little bit through the white. Any other color that I would have used for the face, for the head, if I would have matched or stitched up with any other color, then you wouldn't have seen it, but only because it's white, you can see the other color through a little bit, but it's okay. It's great. So I like how that neck is too, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hide this under the stuffing, out the head, pull up a little bit, cut it off. You're going to grab your 22 needle machines and your yarn again, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the arms for our little baby doll. For the arms, we are going to take our gray. That's the first color we used on the main piece. And we're going to bring our last white and our first black in line with our yarn feeder, and we're going to do the drawstring cast on, just like we did before, just letting it slip through your fingers. Set your row counter before you get to the beginning, and into the yarn feeder it goes. You don't even need a row counter for this because you can easily count it on your own. So if you forget to set it, it's not a big deal. We're going to knit 3 rows of this first color. So 1, 2, and 3. I see that black divider coming around. I'm going to stop it in front of my yarn feeder. I'm going to give that a little snip, open the latch, put it between the last white, the first black. I'm going to grab my pink, pop it in there. I'm going to knit, 3 or 4 needles. Help those loops down under the red teeth. Take both ends and pull them away from each other to snug that up. Then I'm going to tie these 2 off. And we're going to knit 7 rows. I'm going to cut off a bit of a longer tail there because I'll use it for sewing, not that long. Pop it in between the last white and the first black. Then I'm going to grab a contrasting color of yarn for waste yarn. So I'm just going to grab this purple here that I had close. And we're going to pop that in. This is waste yarn. It's going to come out. You don't have to fix the tension there. And we're going to knit about 7 rows. And I am going to cut that, put it in between the last white, the first black, shut my latch. Don't forget to shut it or you'll break a needle or the latch. One of the two or both. And we're going to rotate our barrel twice until our piece comes off. Now these stitches are not being held by a drawstring, so this will unravel very easily. So be very careful with how you handle this. Go ahead, make 1 more, and then I'll meet you back. So one more exactly like this. All right, we have our 2 arms. Let's take them and give them a good stretch. Remember that these stitches are loose, so be very careful because they will come undone. We're going to fold that over. We're going to find our 2 tails. There's the pink one, and there's the purple one. That's pink stitch there where your yarn tail is coming through, your waist yarn tail is coming through. You're going to add a stitch marker. This is important because when you're seaming this up, these last stitches can be hard to find because it gets tight as you go along. Now, with our working yarn here, if you pull on this loop right here, it's the last loop that this yarn tail made. You're going to put a stitch marker in there. Now we know that we have 22 needles, so there's 22 stitches. Make sure your tails are outside of your work. We are going to find the very far side here. So these little pieces can be a little bit challenging to hold, but we're going to count that as stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we're going to go into the 12th stitch. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. It's just a nice size for this. This is the 12th loop, but we're going to count it now as the first loop. So 1, then we're going to pick up 11. We're going to work it through that loop. That's 2 stitches worked. The reason why we're counting is because if we miss one of these loops, when we take our waist yarn out, then our piece is going to unravel down that row. So we've done 2 now. We're going to go down to the bottom here, pick up that next loop, work it through the loop on my hook. That's 3. Go up to the top, grab that loop, work it through. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now you don't have to crochet to be able to do this. You're just using the hook. That's 16, just so I remember. You're just using the hook to be able to grab it. So many people will say, I don't know how to crochet, I can't do that. You can do it because you're not crocheting. You're just picking up a loop and using the tool. Okay, so this is 17, 18, 19, this is 20, now if you pick up on this one, you can get under that loop and then you just take it out. That's 21. This one closest to that we just took out will always be 21 if you got your count right. And if you got your count right, this one up here will be 22. You can pick up on it, get under there, take it out, and work it. Then you're going to take your tail, your pink yarn tail, and you're going to go around it and bring it through that loop and tighten it. Then all you have to do is take your yarn, waist yarn, and pull this off. If you grab this long pink one at the same time and pull it down with it, it doesn't get tangled all around the strand as you pull. And you just keep pulling until you get that completely out. And there you go. You have a seamed edge in a flat stitch, a flat seam. Now you're going to take that gray and tuck in those little tails, smooth out your end, pull it closed. Let's put our gray onto our needle. We're going to go around that top row of stitches just once, and we're going to reinforce. We got little hands playing with this, little people playing with this little baby, and we want it to last. We don't want our seam to come undone. So just go around one time and pull, and then you're just going to pick up a strand or 2 and make a knot. Pull that knot down with your thumb. Cut this off so it's not very long, just so it can be tucked inside of this piece. Take that other end, the pink strand, and put it on your needle. We're not going to use fiber fill for this little arm because we're going to roll it in on itself. So this tail is on the inside. I'm going to take this far side. Here's my tail coming out here. I'm going to take this other side and I'm going to roll it into the, fold it into the middle. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to fold it one more time. So now this little piece is folded into thirds. Then I'm going to just push this end in to find that row that's right there, like a row that's a little bit further over. And we're going to do our mattress stitch. So I'm going to join this up here first. Makes it a little bit easier. Tuck that in, fold this over because I want the wide part of the V going down. I'm going to go across here. I'm going to get into that first stitch and I'm going to pick up 2 bars and 2 and 2. So I'm going to pinch the end and I'm going to pull. Get that nice and tight. Come back down to the base here. I'm going to stuff that in there with my needle. I'm going to get in there the best that I can. I can see where my strand is coming out there and I'm just going to, you don't have to be too particular to get into the same row just for this part because it's a little bit difficult. I'm going to pick up 2. This one I can see easier. I'm going to pick up to the top there. Then I'm going to tighten that one more time. Oops. See what I mean? If you pull too tight, you will gather it. So you can just easily fix that. I'm going to just pick up 1 strand and get into there, go right up to the top here. Just hide that little pink strand. Don't pull too tight. You're going to just squeeze that together so you have a flat end there. And then I'm just going to go across and pick it up. Here's my seam and I want this in the middle so that when I take my baby doll, all I got to do is find the center here, pick up that center that's in the neck, pick up a stitch. And then when I put this on, it's automatically centered on my piece like that. But I want this seam, here's where I sewed it, to go against the body of my doll. Okay, so now that's in there. I'm going to come across and I'm going to pick up both strands like that because we didn't seam close that edge. And then I'm going to go back. This is finicky because it's so small. Into my neck. And this tray is slippery. And I'm going to pick up a stitch. And I'm going to pull and sew it down. Then I'm going to go back into my seam, pull it, go into the neck, right close to where I sewed before. You can even go into the same, technically the same spot. And I'm going to sew that down. Then I'm going to pick up on this. When I get close to the edge, I'm going to pick on the side stitch. So I'm going to go right down. Here's where my first stitch is. I'm actually going to go down to the second one. And when I do that, and then I go into the neck and pull this, I get a rounded edge there instead of a pointed edge. And then I'm in the center here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up the edge there, pull it tight, go into the neck, pick up a piece and pull it. I'm going to go back into my arm, grab both strands and tighten. Come back up into the neck, right close. Here's where I came out. I'm going to actually go right into the same space, but then pick up just a little bit more over. And I'm going to pull that. And I think I can get one more in there before I round off my arm. So I'm picking up the edge. This is where I like that other needle better. This one's hard to get in. It might be a little too blunt for this work. Whereas my metal wool needles are perfect. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the head and in between the head and the neck. And I'm going to pull it down. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this stitch right here, second one down. I'm going to grab it. Then I'm going to go into that space that I last was and underneath into the middle and pull. Now this was a long drawn out attaching of the arm, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. And there we go. And it's rounded on both sides. I'm going to just let this hang until I get the second one on. I do that for all of my pieces. I've got this centered already. I do that for all of my my animals that I make, or my dolls that I make, until you have both limbs put on and you know that they're exactly where you want them to be and they're centered. You don't knot this off and hide your end, because then it's too hard to undo. All right, so I'm going to, here's where my seam was here. I'm going to make sure that that goes against the body. I'm going to pick up the center here, pull up, and then I'm going to grab the sides again, both layers, and go through and attach my second arm. I am happy with how those are both sitting, so I can now go underneath, make a knot, make another one. Sometimes these little things are so hard to hold when you're doing your sewing work, but they're so worth it. And then I'm going to hide that up, cut it off, and do it to my second arm. All right, friends, so I have a bunch of safety eyes here that I'm going to use. You can just use thread or yarn and make the eyes if you like, but these ones are mushroom button eyes, literally a button. Like, you sew them on through the loop here, so they're very secure. I've got some sewing thread on my little needle here. I've tied off a knot so it's a double strand, and I'm just looping this through. I wish I could tell you what size these were, but this is all I have is that they were left. I had them in there and they're just leftovers. I think they're probably like a 3mm eye. And I'm going to, but you choose what you think looks good. And I'm going to just pick this up about there. And I'm going to sew it on. I'm going to sew and sew and sew and sew and sew until it's really tight. Then I'm going to sew the other one on right there. All right, so go ahead and either sew your mushroom button eyes on. I'll link them in the description box below so you can get them. You see there's a little loop there, so they're safe. And you can find the link down in the description box below, or go ahead and sew them on with just yarn, however you like to sew your eyes on. And our mushroom button eyes are nice and secure. They look great, and we will then use yarn for the rest of the face. All right, so now that we have the eyes on, I've got some white yarn on my needle here, and we're gonna make a cute little nose. I'm gonna just come up the side here, go where I think my nose is gonna be. Pull that through just so I have enough to tie off and hide later. And then I'm just going to go across 3 strands here, so a row and a half, stitch and a half. And I'm going to go straight across, that's 1. And into there, and come out on the other side. And 2. Three. Just to get a little definition for a nose. This is the 4th pass. I'm going to do 1 more. And from there, I'm going to go into this side, and I'm going to come under the stuffing and out where I went in. Just like that. Line that up nicely. I'm going to go ahead and tie these off. Don't tie this first one too tight, because then it'll pull on the nose. Tie the second one tight. Just like that. Cut these off so they're a little bit more manageable. Into that same space, under the stuffing, out the back of the head. Let's pull up a little bit and cut it off. Then you can just pull up on that area there And we've got a little nose. Now we're going to put a little mouth. I'm going to just look at this for a bit and decide what color I want. I might just go with the same pink. Just so it's consistent. I was going to add like a red or another shade of pink, but I think I want to just stay with the color that I've used already. If your body is a different color, of course, if you're not using the pink here, then I would grab a pink, soft pink yarn for the mouth. Anyways, so let me see if I can get that on there. Then I'm going to come up the side again. Let me see here. Nope, it's got to be higher. And I'm one complete row over from the edge of the nose here, so I'll go one complete row over here. Then I'm going to come down just a smidgen, but in the middle, pull through, and by coming down in the middle just a smidgen, and then I can take this and go over top of this bar and back into that space and come out where I went in, and then I'll show you what happens. When I pull on it, it just will give that enough of a help to make it look like a smile. Just moves that into place just to give it a little tiny grin. Give that a little tug, just like that. Just wonder if I should do a double strand. No, I want to keep it soft. I just want to keep it nice and soft looking, so I'm just going to do one strand. Tie that off. Now you're going to grab your 22 needle machine once again, and let's make a little beanie for this baby and the blanket. All right, so are you ready for the beanie? We are going to use the 22 needle, and we're going to bring our last white, our first black, in line with our yarn feeder, and we're going to drawstring cast on just as we have been doing. And before we get to the end, we're going to set our row counter to 0. There we go. It should be behind that last white. Into the yarn feeder it goes. We're going to knit 20 rows of gray. I'm going to go slow on my first row and make sure I don't get any stitches that are split between those two red teeth. Pull down that line. Knit 20 rows. When you get to 20 rows, come back and we will continue on from there. Finishing up row 20, last white, first black is in line with our yarn feeder. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take our yarn out of our yarn feeder, but we want to make sure that it's between the last white and the first black because we have to finish knitting these two with gray. I'm going to take my pink, I'm going to pop that into the center like that. Here's my gray, that's over top just like that. Then I'm going to grab both of them. It's a little tricky at first. I'm going to knit my first one with pink. Once that needle drops down, don't knit the second one. Just loop it around like that. That's easier. Once it drops down, then you can let go of the tail, that pink tail into the inside. Then you've got your two. Don't let that black one go too far. You've got your two tails here. We did the first one with pink. I'm going to hold them over my 3 fingers like that. The pink one closest to me. I'm going to close up my fingers. Then I'm going to put my middle finger or my index finger in between, and I'm going to use my thumb to turn. Okay. So we started with pink. I'm going to put the gray underneath that next one. Then I'm going to put the pink, then the gray. Then just tip your wrist a little bit. Use your thumb to grab the strands. I'm using my thumb to push the gray across. And we're going to just alternate like that until we get to the end. And your last one will have gray under it, okay? Because we've gone back and forth. You're going to take your pink, which is under that gray, and you're going to pop it into your yarn feeder, just like that. Take that gray, and we're going to just pop that into the center just to get it out of the way, just like that. We still need to finish knitting that last one, but we're going to go ahead and see now it's knitting that last gray one. There we go. Pull it a little bit to give it some tension. We're going to knit 3 rows of solid pink. That's 1, 2, and 3. So we did 1 row of Fair Isle, starting with our pink, alternating pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray. Then we did 3 rows of pink. Now we're going to take our pink out, make sure that it goes in the center here. We're going to bring our gray back out. It's not as confusing as what it might seem at first, but you're going to hold your gray off to the left here, or your pink off to the left here, so that when you bring your gray over, it's underneath that gray. And then you're going to just hold your yarn the way you held it before, but you're going to start your Fair Isle patterning with gray. So easiest to hook it underneath there and then let it drop down and then continue on with your Fair Isle. So then you're going to put pink under the next one, and gray, and pink, and gray, and pink, and gray, pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray. You should end with pink. Got my yarn balls here. There we go. Because we started with gray this time. Pink, gray, and pink. All right. So just let that go a little bit till that drops down. We're going to take our gray again. We're going to put it in the middle, but we want to get this, let's just put it underneath that divider, and then it will hold it there and into our yarn feeder. We got to get our gray out of the way. So you can just even set it there. You're going to knit 3 rows of pink. One, 2, and 3. There we go. You're going to take your pink out of your feeder. You're going to take your gray out, hold it off to the left so that you take your gray out and it crosses on top. Then you're going to hold both of these, but this time we're on our 3rd row of Fair Isle, so we start with pink. We did pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray. Then we did 3 rows of solid pink. Then we did gray, pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, and did 3 rows of solid pink. Now we're back on our pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray. All right. So I've got pink under my first needle, then gray, then pink, and gray, 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 pink, and you'll end with gray because you started with pink. We are going to pick up that gray, pop it into our center there, there we go, just like that, making sure that this one still has to knit. We're going to bring this into our yarn guide, and we're going to knit 3 rows of pink. We're doing this patterning for 20 rows till our counter says row 40. And if you're going to forget whether you started with gray or started with pink, just write it down on a chart and keep it handy so that you don't forget. I'm starting this row with gray. I'm going to bring this out. Make sure that pink one stays under that last white one. I'm going to bring that out. I'm going to start it with gray and then pink. And then gray and pink. All the way around. You should end on pink. There we go. I'm going to then pop this gray into the center just like that. Put this into my yarn feeder. By the time you do a few, it's easier to catch it. All right, so we ended on pink. So we started with gray. Next time, after our 3 rounds of pink, we're gonna start with pink. All right, so we're gonna do 3 rows of pink. And this is 3. And now we're going to open our latch, take out our gray, and we're going to start our Fair Isle patterning with our pink. I'm on row 36. This will be row 37. Oops, did I say with gray? I know I said with pink. Let me see. Now I gotta think about it. Pink, gray, pink. Yeah, pink. And then gray, pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, gray. Pink, gray, pink, gray, pink, and lastly, gray. I'm going to take my pink, pop it into my feeder. Helps to put it underneath this divider if you've gone a little too far. You can go ahead and you can cut off your tail on your gray. Just let that hang into the center there. And you're going to knit 3 rows of pink. 1, pull on that gray one there, 2, and 3. There we go. You're going to now cut off a tail long enough to go around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times, and we're going to do the drawstring cast off. We will knot this gray yarn tail when we have it off the machine. Don't forget, because you don't want this beanie to come apart. So I'm going to thread my needle, and we're going to just do our drawstring cast off as we've been doing. All right, we have our adorable beanie off the machine. We're going to stretch it widthwise and lengthwise. We're going to go in there and we're going to take care of this yarn tail before we forget. All I'm going to do is catch it with a couple strands that are behind there and knot it off. Once and twice. Just like that, give it a snip. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take our solid end. It doesn't matter which end you start with actually, but we'll start with this one. Was that a loose tail? Another one? Yes, ma'am. From when we started our Fair Isle, make sure that you don't forget. I almost did. I'm gonna make a knot. And one more. And I'm going to tighten the end here. Gonna just go around and reinforce the top. That's good. Tie one knot. Put your hand inside this little cutie. Put the needle into the very center of that top. Grab it with your hand on the inside, pinch the top, and bring it through so that your beanie is now in half. You're going to pull that through. Then you're going to take this other side and you're going to close it up, smooth it out. I'm going to reinforce around the top. This would make a beautiful, preemie beanie. And you might have to add a few rows. Go to my beanie playlist on my channel, and I have a video that tells you how many rows for every size of beanie, including the preemie, which you'll find at the end of the video. And you will get row counts for a bonfire beanie like this that is a brimless beanie, and you'll get one for a brimmed beanie. So let's pull that inside one up close to the top. Let's tie a good firm knot. Put both of these strands back on your needle. This is why I love these wool needles. Grabbed one because I was missing it. Into the center and in between the two layers. Then pull it through, and you've just hidden your ends. Cut that off. Grab a piece of yarn that is gray, because that is the edging that we have here. By the way we designed this, we made it so that the gray would show at the top. Grab gray and put it on your needle, and we're going to sew this onto the head. Friends, I decided that I'm going to put a pom-pom on it before I sew it on, because then I can tie it on the inside. I have these Clover Wonder Knitter, or these Clover pom-pom makers, which I absolutely love. This is the smallest, this is the second smallest, then there's two more bigger. I'm going to use the second one. It has a 45 on the back of it. Now I do have a tutorial on how to use the Clover pom-pom maker. Please look for that on my channel. I will link it in the description box below, because I won't make this tutorial on how to make it. I'll get it going here, but it's very easy to make. I love these pom-pom makers. I will link them in the description box below. If you do not have them, I strongly encourage you to get them, because you really will make beautiful pom-poms with them. This is how I wrap. I'm going to just make it pink. I'm not going to do the whole tutorial, the whole thing here. I'm just going to get you started. I wrap until the center is full. Close it. Wrap the other side, and then the rest of the instructions are on my Clover pom-pom maker video. Have a look. Taking that cute little pom-pom, I'm going to put one strand into the center there. Pull it through. Take the other strand and just put it off to the side a little bit and down into the bottom, into the inside. Pull that through, then I'm going to just tie a firm knot. Now, 99.9% of my videos, I show every step on. I don't refer you to another video. So if this is upsetting you, I'm sorry. But sometimes there's just too many pieces in one video. And if I can direct you to a video that I don't have to redo on this, teaching time, then it helps keep the length of these videos down. So that's why I'm directing you for this one. But isn't that absolutely beautiful? So I'm going to grab my gray yarn. We're going to pop this beanie onto this baby's head. And in the back there is where we're going to start. So bring up that brim just so that you have even gray. And I'm going to go low down on the head here. Quite low. And we're going to sew. Now go really close to the edge there before you come up, because you don't want to see lines of sewing. You want to hide those lines. And so I'm not putting them very close to each other. I'm not going far, but I'm not going too terribly close either, because I just want it to be able to stay down. So I'm going underneath the edge there, going across and picking up some of the beanie. Don't pull too tight, because you don't want to compromise the look of your beanie either. I'm going to go underneath the edge there, go over a couple of rows, and then pull. So it's just snug to the head, but it's not pulled tight, because I don't want to compromise the look of the beanie or the look of the head. I'm going to sew all the way around, then I'm going to knot it off with this one, hide my ends. Just a little tip when you're sewing, I told you to come down close to the edge there. I have a little bit of a gap, but then I want to bring my sides down almost to the arms and just above the eyes. I had it higher up and I didn't like it. So I actually undid it and I'm taking it down and I'm making it so it's more snug around the face, and I think it looks much better. It's now time for the cocoon. I've made one piece. We're going to make 3 of these. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is so adorable. So adorable. We have to start with waste yarn. So we're going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn guide. And we're going to cast on, doing the drawstring cast on, as we've done before. And we're going to knit the first row slowly. Where is my yarn? Oh, it fell down under the table. And there we go. I always do 7 rows. And 7th row, I'm going to set my row counter to 0 before I get to the end. So I'm all ready to start. I'm going to cut off my tail, open my latch, put that in between the last white and the first black. And we're going to follow the same patterning for the cocoon that we followed for the beanie. Except for we're not gonna do it like we did a gray on the inside. We're not gonna do that. We're going to start with 3 rows of solid pink. So your color A, let's do 3 or 4 needles and then let's fix that tension. You're gonna do 3 rows. There we go. I see my black divider coming around. Take a black permanent marker and I mark that. And I've done 3 rows of color A. Then I'm going to do Fair Isle starting with my pink. You're going to want to make a chart numbering your rows 1 to 51. Rows 1, 2, 3, solid pink. Row 4, Fair Isle, doing pink, then gray. Then row 5, 6, and 7, 3 rows of pink. Then the next single Fair Isle row will be gray, starting with gray, and second needle is pink. And then again, your 3 rows of pink, and then pink and gray Fair Isle. So make a chart and tick it off as you go, because trust me, friends, you will get mixed up. You will get mixed up. Do that, friends, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until I get to row 51. Now row 51, row 50, and row 49 will all be 3 solid pink. Okay, so you just keep going and until you get to that point, and you should end on your 3 solid rows. Now I'm looking at, I did 11 rows. I got to look at my chart again. I'm starting with pink. See, because you get talking, you know, and then you just forget. So I'm going to continue on in this patterning format until I get to row 51, and then I'll meet you back. Enjoy the process. It's fun. All right, so I just finished my last row of Fair Isle patterning, and I am going to pop that into the center. We are going to knit 3 rows of pink. This is row 49, 50, and 51. There we go. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to cut off a tail. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? We are going to cut off a tail of the pink, pop that into the center. We're going to grab our waste yarn. Pop that into the yarn feeder in between the last white and the first black. And we're going to knit a few here, and then I'm going to tie off these two, this gray and this pink. Tie them nice and tight, but don't cut them short, because we need to have these outside of, one of these outside of our work. After we close up the end, we'll need to loop it through the last loop. I'll show you when we get there, but don't cut these last 2 off too short right now, okay? So I'm going to knit 7 rows. And I'm going to cut off a tail long enough to go around my barrel 1.5 to 2 times. Now I could cut this yarn tail right now, put it in between these 2 needles and rotate my barrel twice, and my project would come off the machine. But then this waste yarn would start unraveling if we don't take care of it right away. I am not going to take care of it right away, and I don't want it to unravel. So because I'm going to make all 3 of them, and then I put one together, but I'm going to make this one and the next one, and then we'll put them together. We'll do that together. But so I'm going to take my needle, and we're going to just do the drawstring cast off, because when we do the drawstring cast off with our waste yarn, it holds all of these loops and it doesn't start to unravel on us. You would hate to do all this work and then fiddle with it a little too much and have your stitches unravel before you get your end closed up. So when you're doing, you know, detailed work like this, you want to take that extra precaution and do the drawstring cast off, even with waste yarn. Okay, I don't need to stay on line with you for this because we've done it already, and I'm going to fight with it. There we go. So I want you to make 3 of these, and don't get overwhelmed. It doesn't take that long, and you know what? You're going to be so proud of yourself when you have them done, and especially if you've not done Fair Isle before, it'll be a great project to learn on. So go ahead, get 3 of these tubes done, and when you have all 3 done, I will meet you back and we will close up the ends and assemble our piece. There we go. So there's my second one. I'll make one more. Okay, we have our beautiful pieces off the machine, and we're going to stretch them widthwise and lengthwise. Let's just take one of them. You're going to pull out the tails. Make sure that they're knotted off. Then you're going to look for your waste yarn tail that's right there, and you're going to take a stitch marker and you're going to put it in the loop that tail is going through. So this loop here is the last loop that this tail is going through, or the first one. Then you're going to go over to this side. And this loop here is attached to this tail, to the pink tail that's tied already. And that's the loop you're going to put your stitch marker in. And you're going to make sure that pink tail is out. You can leave the gray one on the inside, but make sure the pink one's out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut this one a little bit. And we know that there are 22 needles on our machine. So I want to go to the very side here. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to go underneath the 12th stitch, just the same as what we did with the arms. Pick up the 11th, go through, count that as my second stitch worked, go down to the bottom, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9, all the way across, making sure you don't miss a loop. $18, 19, 20, pull up on this bobby pin, 21, and 22. Wrap that pink yarn tail around and bring it through and push down to knot it off, and we can then remove the waste yarn. Let's do the other side first, because removing the waste yarn on both sides is the same. So this one I hadn't tied yet, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie that one. I'm going to put the gray one to the inside and bring this pink one out. All right, so because it's tied off, it's a little tricky to find, but here's our tail for our waste yarn. If I pull on it down here, the last loop that it's going through, that one there, we're going to put a stitch marker in there. Then you're just going to look to the left, and that very first stitch that's right there is the one you're going to take. Make sure the pink tail is out. You're going to go around, you're going to count to stitch number 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you're going to close up this end just as we have previously done. Loop this over your crochet hook, pull it through to tie off a knot, and then meet me back. All right, so I have them done, and I already finished taking off the waste yarn of those two. Because we did the drawstring cast off, to hold those stitches so our rows didn't unravel, we now have to roll this up to get to the very top row. Pinch a stitch, pull out that top line. Go around, find the top stitch, pinch it. When you pinch it, it doesn't all gather and cause a big knot as you pull. And pinch and pull. And once you get the first row out, then you can just pull it out like so and remove your waste yarn. Do that on all sides. There we go. We've got our 3 pieces, and now we can assemble our cocoon. So exciting. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to hide the tails on one end of each of our tubes, leaving a tail on the other end, just like that. And we're going to now join our tubes with a braided join. So you don't want your tails together like that when you do your join. You want them to be opposite like that, okay? So that you have a tail to tie when you get to the top. We're going to take the bottom here. We are going to find the side row where the wide part of the V is going to the left, just as we did with our mattress stitch, but we're doing the braided join here. We're going to take our 4.5mm crochet hook, or your hook of choice. I wouldn't go much bigger because then it's hard to use. I'm going to go into this first stitch here, and I'm going to pick up that bar that's in the middle, in between. Then I'm going to go over to the first stitch here. I'm going to go into the middle of it, and I'm going to pick up that bar. And I'm going to bring it through the bar that was on my hook. Then I'm going to go back over to this next one. Here's the one that we had before, so I'm going to count 1, 2. It's pretty much the very next stitch. And work it. But I can see where I was working here, because you can see that when it pulls on it, there's where my strand is coming out. So I always count 1, 2, because I'm missing this bar right there. I'm taking the second bar. And I'm going in. Here's where I have that little bit wider opening. That's where I was in. So I'm going to count 1, 2. 1, 2. And I'm picking up the middle bar. You're going to naturally pick up the pink and the gray because the Fair Isle is there and they're twisted around each other. Just grab the 1. Okay, so 1, 2. It's a little tricky, but just see there's 2 bars there. Just grab 1. I'm going to go for the pink. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Then straighten out another little section so that it's easy to see your row. And keep going. 1, 2. 1, 2. That was a natural to pick up the gray. That's okay. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. So you're basically missing a bar and going to the next one. And here's where it's twisted around each other. So I'm going to grab one of those bars. 1, 2. Straighten out another little section. 1, so I'm missing that one and I'm taking this next one. I'm missing this one and I'm taking the next one. And we're creating a braided join all the way up. One, 2, 1, 2, and 2. So when I get to the top, I will see you. I'm going to just continue doing this braided join all the way to the top. Doesn't take that long once you get the swing of it. Just stop and straighten out your row so you can see what row you're on. Concentrate on about 5 to 10 stitches. This section right here. Don't get overwhelmed by the whole rest of the piece. If you line this up so that your stitches are nice and straight, then you'll be able to get it no problem. I'll see you when I get to the top. I've made it to the top and I only have one left, so I'm going to go into that very next one. This one's a little tighter. There we go. And then that's why I have this. I'm going to go over to this one. I'm going to pick up the side, that top stitch, just get my hook underneath there. Then I can yarn over and bring this one through and then bring it through that last stitch that I had. You just use this yarn tail to fasten off that last loop. There you go. We'll use our needle and we will sew that down. But let's take our next piece. Our V's are going like this because we started down here. You want to make sure you start down on the same side. So down here, and you'll know because you have your tie up at the other side, you start on the opposite side. We're going to start down here, and we had our piece together like this. This is the right side. We have to have our piece together like that. So our right side and our stitching is on the same side. So go ahead, put that together. So this is the right side, that's the right side, wrong sides are together. Stitch it up to the top, except for make sure that you have your tail on the inside, because I had it just now when I was showing you. I had it like this, so there's nothing to tie it off on. That's why we left this. So turn this around so you have a tail when you get to the top to seam with. Put this together, have the wide part of the V going to the left. This one's lining up beautifully. Work your braided stitch all the way up to the top. I am at the top. I got one left to take. I'm going to yarn over, bring it through that loop. I will use my needle to join it. I had joined it with my crochet hook before, but another way to do it is to put it on your needle. Go through that top stitch. Go back to this side, go through that top stitch. And now they're straight. You can just tie it off with a knot. And hide your tails. I just want to weave it through here a little bit. And then into the work. Cut it off. Do that with this other tail. Leave this one on the end because we may need it. But I like to get rid of my tails as I go. I don't like to wait and do them all at the end. When I'm crocheting and stuff and I have a lot of color work changes, I will hide them as I go because it's just too daunting to wait to the end. Although on a little project like this, it's not a big deal, but it's just a habit that I have. And into my work. Cut it off. There we go. So there we have our little blanket there, but we were going to turn it into a cocoon. So this is the right side, just like that. We're going to turn it so that the wrong side is up, just like that. And we're going to take these two edges and we are going to now mattress stitch, but we're only going to go part way up. So we have our fair isle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to the 5th one down. That way this will be like this. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 to the 5th fair isle stripe from the top. So again, this time you have the wrong side up. This is the right side here. You're going to put it together and you're going to mattress stitch up to this 5th row of fair isle right here. We have nothing to tie it to, but we'll join a strand. Okay, go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm at the 5th row there. I'm going to hold that loop, take a needle with a thread, or yarn in it. And we're going to secure and tie and tie. Do you know what I did, you guys? When we did our braids, we started from down here and we went up, and so our V's are upside down. I should have left my tails on the other side. I don't think it actually matters. I think that it does, like, it works. But that would have been a little bit nicer with the V's that way. So what I'm going to do, and you can choose to do this or not to do this, but I'm going to take this out. I'm just showing you how I correct something that I'm not liking. Everything is correctable. Well, not everything, but a lot of things. Our V's are going this way, and I want the V. So I need to start down on this section, down on this side, and go that way if I want to keep consistent with that. But here's what I'm going to do. I want my opening to be up here. So I'm going to start. I'm going to put these two together the way I did before, but I'm going to do them from the other side. So I'm going to, this is how we had it. Our V's are going this way. You can see that they're going that way. So to keep it consistent, we started down here and we left it open up here. I'm going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to line these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to start my V in the middle here. That way I'm keeping my V's consistent. The direction of my braid, I'm calling them a V, but it's a braid. I'm keeping it consistent in the direction that these other ones are, but I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and this will be open so that when our baby is in there, our little V stitches are the actual right direction. So I hope that made sense to you. And you might have lined it up perfectly right the first time that you did it. And if you did, that's awesome. Because I just told you to grab a side with the one strand for sewing. That's all I told you to do. So I didn't pay attention to it until this very second, which isn't unlike me, but at the same time, it does happen. And I'll tell you, I've been working at this all day. Just so you know, I don't just sit down. When you see a video as an hour long, I don't just sit down and an hour later have a video. There are many takes. There's editing of many, many clips. And then from the editing process, you take it to YouTube, but there's a whole big process that goes along to making a video. When you see it and you see that the video's in 45 minutes to an hour long, or however long it is, multiply that by seriously 10. And that's how long it takes to make a video, because there's a lot of changing of the camera. There's a lot of, you get a wrong angle, or the lighting is bad, you have to redo it. And, that's just par for the course. I love doing it, so I don't mind at all. I'm not complaining at all when I tell you that. I'm just saying that when we're crafting and we're making things, as you know, we want to pay attention to detail and do it beautifully, and sometimes that takes a little longer. So pulling this out and redoing it took me 5 minutes more, but it's right now. Every time I look at this little baby and its blanket, I'm not going to think the blanket's upside down. The little girl or person who is getting this will never notice, and neither will their mother. But the maker knows. Okay, now I have a tail. I can put that through. Now my V's are consistent. My stitching is consistent all around, but I have it open at this side, which is correct. Now my V's are going this way. Much, much, much better. Okay, so there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this tail If you don't have a tail long enough, you can go ahead and just add one. We're going to make sure that that's in half. I am going to pick up this edge right here and tie a knot. Then I'm going to poke this end into the center like that. And I'm going to sew back and forth there. I'm going to poke this end into the center here, and I'm going to sew back and forth there. And we're going to finish off our lovely cocoon and put our baby in it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew that right across and tie off a knot, hide my end, and then I'll meet you back. There we go. We have our beautiful little cocoon. It's so adorable. And we're going to take our baby and we're going to put our baby inside the cocoon. Oh my goodness, you guys, this might be one of the cutest things I think I've made. What child is not going to love that? Especially if you're a new mom and you're bringing home a baby and you make one of these for your newborn baby in the baby size, because you'll find them on my channel. Then make one for your other child if you have another child, and let them have a baby too. Oh, so cute. There you go. Isn't this just the cutest little thing you ever did see? I just think it's adorable. And, you know, making it in different ethnicities and using different colors for the yarn. You know, you don't have to even do the ferrule. You can make them plain, use self-striping yarn. The ideas are limitless, and so have fun. I cannot wait to see your finished projects. Please always post in my Facebook group. And when you post in other Facebook groups, add the link so that people can find my channel. That would be an incredible help to me, and I would appreciate that so much. All right, friends, once again, I appreciate you so very much, and I thank you for spending your time with me. Take care and have a blessed day.